Hey everyone, and welcome back. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. Today, we're taking a really deep dive into an area of healthcare that, honestly, affects virtually every single patient, yet it stays largely completely out of sight. We're going to explore the vital, highly complex engine of the healthcare system, the hospital pharmacy. And why does this matter? Well, because this meticulously organized system is literally the invisible guardian of your safety when you or your loved ones are at your most vulnerable. So let's just dive right in and decode how these massive operations actually work.
When most of us hear the word pharmacy, we tend to just picture a simple counter. Maybe we even imagine a hospital pharmacy is this quiet little basement room where someone is just, counting out pills into plastic bottles. But we really need to scratch that misconception right now. What is actually happening behind those doors is just staggering in its scale. It operates with the kind of life-or-death precision you'd expect from an air traffic control tower.
To truly wrap our heads around this, here's our roadmap for today. First, more than just dispensing. 2, blueprint of the pharmacy. 3, the pharmacy care team. 4, staffing by the numbers. And finally, guidelines and governance. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, more than just dispensing. A hospital pharmacy is truly this incredible multifaceted machine. It's operating simultaneously as a full-blown manufacturing plant, creating these highly specialized intravenous fluids. It's a research lab actively participating in clinical trials, and it's a rigorous quality control center, making sure that every single compound is completely safe and effective before it ever gets near a patient. The sheer array of their daily responsibilities is massive. We're talking about procuring and strictly storing sensitive biologicals. They are manufacturing both sterile and non-sterile preparations. They handle all the complex dispensing for both the inpatients and outpatients, all while simultaneously teaching students and running clinical research. Managing this whole shebang obviously requires a deeply sophisticated organizational structure. Which brings us perfectly to section 2, blueprint of the pharmacy. Let's look at how the physical space actually dictates the workflow. If you map it out operationally, you have these incredibly diverse, specialized subdivisions branching right out from the core pharmacy. You've got distinct branches dedicated solely to purchasing and inventory control, manufacturing, statistics, research, and dispensing. And each arm has its own very specific, dedicated responsibilities to make absolutely sure the system never gets bottlenecked. Now, when you translate that operational map into a physical floor plan, it's a bit like a giant puzzle. Aseptic areas, which is where the sterile products are made, they have to be placed directly adjacent to the manufacturing sections and the raw materials. And there's usually this centralized passage that deliberately divides these high-control areas from the administrative and dispensing sections. None of this is random, right? It's all spatially organized to guarantee this continuous, logical, and most importantly, safe flow of both personnel and materials. But here's the thing, the physical layout actually extends way beyond just that one main room. In really large hospitals, we often see this contrast between a centralized pharmacy and decentralized or satellite pharmacies. So while the centralized hub keeps all the staff and equipment together in one primary spot, the decentralized model places these mini pharmacies right at key patient care units all over the hospital. It basically ensures that emergency medications and floor stock are immediately accessible right there, exactly where the patients are. Okay, moving right along to section 3, the pharmacy care team. Because we have to ask, who exactly keeps this massive engine running? As you might guess, there is a very strict chain of command at play here. Right at the top, you have the chief pharmacist, a highly qualified leader who sets the policies and works directly with hospital administration. That authority is then very carefully delegated down to the supervising and senior pharmacists, who manage specific sections and handle a lot of the training. And finally, that trickles all the way down to the pharmacists on the floor. They're the ones executing the crucial compounding, double-checking labels, and directly monitoring the patient's drug therapies. But honestly, the pharmacists are definitely not doing it alone. You need an absolutely essential support crew to keep a logistical operation like this running smoothly. You have certified pharmacy technicians assisting with the prep work, clerks handling what is essentially a mountain of documentation and statistics, storekeepers managing the super strict inventory tracking of bulk drugs, and utility workers maintaining the rigorous sanitation standards of the space. Every single role here is just absolutely critical. Let's look at the math behind that team in section 4, staffing by the numbers. 15. I know, it seems surprisingly low, right? But according to the baseline data, a minimum of just 15 pharmacists is actually required to manage the inpatient pharmacy for a massive 500-bed hospital facility. Let's break that math down a little further.
because the personnel requirements scale proportionately with the hospital's total bed strength. So, for a small hospital of up to 50 beds, you need a baseline of 3 pharmacists. Scale that up to 200 beds, and the requirement is 8 pharmacists. And as we just talked about, hitting that 500-bed mark requires 15. This isn't just guesswork. It's a highly calculated ratio designed specifically to balance an intense workload with unwavering patient safety.
Which brings us to our final piece of the puzzle in Section 5, Guidelines and Governance.
You really can't talk about a hospital pharmacy without talking about the Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee, or the PTC. This is literally one of the most influential decision-making bodies in the entire hospital. It brings together the physicians, the pharmacists, nurses, and hospital administrators all into one room. The PTC acts as this crucial bridge between everyday clinical practice and the broader medication management systems. Their job is to ensure that every single treatment protocol used in the building is safe, rational, and economical.
And the core functions of the PTC? They are vast. They serve an advisory function for drug selection across the board. They run educational programs to keep all hospital staff updated on rational drug use. They manage the hospital formulary, which, if you don't know, is basically the hospital's official master list of approved medications. Plus, they oversee intense quality assurance, like hunting down and reporting any adverse drug reactions, or ADRs, happening anywhere in the institution.
The gravity of these responsibilities really cannot be overstated. Listen to this quote from the American Society of Health System Pharmacists regarding their minimum baseline standards. They say, "Failure to provide any of these services may compromise the overall quality of pharmaceutical care." Right? So these aren't just bureaucratic administrative rules. They are the invisible safety nets keeping patients alive and well during every single medication round. So when we pull all of this together, the physical layout, the dedicated team, the intense governing standards, we really see the ultimate goal of the whole organization. The hospital pharmacy is a 24-hour engine that never stops. Its core mission is maintaining this flawless, secure, and continuous cycle of optimal medication therapy, all while rigorously guarding the confidentiality of every single person who comes through those hospital doors.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on today. We've just seen how meticulously structured this engine has to be to handle today's demands. But as medical treatments become increasingly personalized, think about gene therapies and highly specialized custom medications. How is this highly structured engine of the hospital pharmacy going to have to evolve to meet that next major breakthrough? It is a massively complex challenge, but it's one that pharmacists around the world are gearing up for right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning how the systems around us really work.